And I have high expectations and high hopes for Rogue, but we won't know until we actually see what they can do. We're going to go right into the match, starting with the ban phase. Of course, Rogue on attack, so they're going to get to ban first. We got Hibana out of the way. Makes sense, as I'm sure all of you know. Hibana, very powerful on Bank, able to open up those drop downs. Glaz gone, which means Jackal will still be in it. Glaz is another one of those bans that is very common here on Bank. It also means both of the shield operators are available to DarkZero. Blitz could be on Mint in this match.
Unless they decide to run a Montaigne, which I don't really think we've seen a lot of DarkZero do over the last season or two, so there's lots of flexibility on the attacking lineup. Slashug has said repeatedly that trying to defend that downstairs CCTV site on Bank with every single hard breacher in play is one of the least enjoyable experiences when you look at competitive Rainbow Six. So
True.
Unsurprising that Rogue would choose to ban out the Hibana. Glaz, of course, is a staple of Slash on Rogue, so that's also not just a strong operator, as you mentioned on this map, but also a counter pick to the way that Rogue plays. So you lose your Maestro and you lose your Mira as the remaining two defender operators to be taken off of the field. You had speculated Echo seeing an increase in pick rate, or rather ban rate. Oh, it's going to be Maestro this time. And we know that Maestro is a very competent operator that gets played in the hands of BC on DarkZero, so not surprising there to see him get removed by Rogue.
Yeah, Echo's getting an increase in other regions, but still I think North America is going to be sticking to the Maestro and getting rid of that whole part of the equation. I think it's kind of what you're used to playing against and what you're comfortable countering, and when it comes to Echo and Maestro. For example, if you're welcome, or if you're happy with playing against a Maestro, then it means you probably are going to be playing IQ a little bit less. If you're happy playing against Echo, it means that IQ might be a staple of your team. And that can vary from region to team to player. You know, it's definitely not a consistent thing to track, but they both fill similar roles, and getting rid of either Maestro or Echo is sensible. We do have, of course, the Maestro, like you said, off the board, and the Echo will be played probably every round because of that. Well, Maverick, of course, going to be brought, and why? You need to have two hard destructors on Bank. Playing, as much as you're right, Slash says a lot, playing with all hard destructors available, defending the basement on Bank is frustrating. We have seen when there's only one available, and that can be even more interesting and very, very, very frustrating for the attacking team. So, lucky that's not going to happen here today.
This was mentioned in their matchup last week, that adding BC back to the roster meant that you have to have somebody take over Pojo's role on Hard Breach. Well, who is it? It's going to be Nyx who does that. It wasn't exactly the most suitable place for BC to be on, so you put Nyx on it instead, and that was deceptively fast for Hot and Cold, using the same amount of breaching torch that you'd imagine. He'll go back into it here to take out the second. This is very commonplace for a Maverick.
He doesn't have enough to get the second drop. He was a little inefficient there on the first one. It's very difficult to get two drop downs with a Maverick, but you can do it. But he'll be able to open up a lot of holes in that drop down in all likelihood, and enough to try and hurt some players who are defending from Red Hall. So at least there's that accomplished. Server wall has already been opened up. This has thus far been a very efficient round for DarkZero. Impressively so, to be honest. Rogue, though, have a good variety of counter plant utility, so it's not the end of the world here for the defenders.
Yeah, you've got 3 C4s on the board for Rogue, imagining that there's nothing that Eclipse and Vertical are running outside of a C4. Nyx is going for the plant, and Eclipse, what are you doing, Eclipse?
Oh, no.
He's not on the sensor, and Rogue obviously realizes, hey, it's time to get on over there. Easily's Yokai drone was in no position to capitalize at all, and a successful plant goes down for DarkZero with every single member of both teams still alive. Look to be the smoke rushing out, and Shuttle gets picked apart by BC, who's just lying prone, allowing these towers in front of him to give him tons of opportunity. BC picking everybody apart. 4 kills on the board here, as Vertical pushing on up to open area. Get a kill of his own, but the time almost running out. 2 massive kills for Vertical, but he's almost out of time. He'll drop and head on in. BC is tasked with waiting. Nobody's going to come close. Is he going to give his life away or not? BC just narrowly misses, and he gets shut down by Vertical, but it doesn't really matter. No ace for BC on the board. A hellishly impressive start to DarkZero, as every single member of Rogue tossed themselves into the line of fire. allowing the Sledge to collect every kill. But Rogue, where were you? You were asleep. And DarkZero came right in and got the diffuser down and will walk away with the very first round.
So the round's over. There's not anything to say about that round other than Rogue was not playing it. Good job to DarkZero, though, to read the situation, realize that Rogue was not playing, and go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. I don't expect it to happen a second time in a row. I'm sure Rogue will wake up after that. But, yeah, that's a huge blow early on in the match for Rogue. DarkZero have got to be very happy about it. You know, the confidence from DarkZero in the way that they played that round, where they were not trying to fake out for C4 or gas canisters early on. They were simply going to, I'm sure, run the thermite away if either of them had come, was good and impressive, and not every team does that. A lot of teams will try to plant, they'll hold it down for 2 seconds, and then they'll run away, whether or not there's C4 coming. Not DarkZero, so that's the most impressive thing I could say about that round, or mention about that round. Other than that, it was just, yeah, Rogue not being there.
Eclipse must have been distracted by something else, right?
Yeah.
He was looking over towards Locker's side of things, as if there had been a call from Rogue. There was a yokai drone over by the garage, but I don't think there was anybody from DarkZero in that area. So I'm
guessing he was just distracted by something and not thinking anybody was going to be planting that early on. I mean, it was a halfway through the round plan, and that's very efficient for an attacking team.
The other thing to mention is the way that CCTV plays out, similar to the way that the garage on console often gets played out, is that you can take that wall very fast, but usually there's a lot more you need to do after that wall gets opened up. You can't just immediately push in and plant. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they thought, oh, well, it's unlikely that DarkZero is going to go for a plant as quickly as they did. It looks like very similar strokes from DarkZero here, as Hot and Cold is struggling, much more difficult, and gets taken down as well, and it looks like Shuttle's going to be able to possibly capitalize. As he throws out a toxic canister, and there goes Hot and Cold. Only one hatch will be removed, which means that the pressure on that middle hatch over the rotate leading in from red will now be gone.
Yeah, that's a really good job to Eclipse, or rather Shuttle, to be able to get that pick. And actually a predictable pick. I'm surprised that we don't see that more often. Slash challenging White Stairs, he's going to go down to Nyx. A little bit of a missed shot there from the shotgun DMR hybrid, and now it's just Vertical holding on to server. He'll fall back. Probably the right call in that situation after losing a player. No need to lose two, and he'll be able to play the anchor inside of Red Hall.
So there's something worth noting, is that Rogue put more of an investment off-site this time around. I mean, it's not uncommon to see Slash play on those stairs with a shotgun. In fact, that tends to be one of the positions that he can play on, either with possibly an Ella or possibly with a Mute. Really depends on the way that teams want to play that out. But Rogue is very correctly realizing that the plant could come down very fast. And you've got Slash gone, but the rest of Rogue are still in position to deny this play. You've still got the toxic canisters from Shuttle, C4 from Eclipse, and Easily, who is now in a very familiar position in Garage, looking all the way over to where the main default plant spot is with an ACOG. He's going to light up Nyx quite significantly, and, well, down goes Vertical, but DarkZero will hold this advantage and go for another plant. And a great shot from Easily. Nobody is going to be able to dislodge him from this position. He takes a little bit of damage. He's going to need to engage in a fight here as he realizes that it's not worth tussling with Nyx. Jarvis from above trying to put some pressure on, and Mint will rotate on through, but doesn't expect Shuttle. And Rogue will continue to keep this in pace. Jarvis, a bit of a missed opportunity, a calamity of sorts, as now what little is left of Nyx will have to contend with Rogue in very little time, but it doesn't matter. Eclipse pops up and shuts down DarkZero's push, and it's a successful hold. And Rogue managed to hold off on a push that got scary for a moment there. They'll take the round in good stride. A lot of that's going to go towards Easily's position inside of Garage, being able to shut down the plant, taking BC out of the equation, putting pressure on Nyx, and forcing a late rotate from DarkZero.
It was a sensible adjustment from DarkZero, the late rotate that you mentioned, Mint coming from the main stairs, but it was too late in the round. And yeah, it ended up costing them quite a lot. Easily, good job on that one. And Shuttle also getting that early pick. Fantastic from both of them. I think they were very instrumental in the outcome of the round. It's good that Rogue were able to finally get a defense under their belt, especially on the site that they had lost previously. That's going to give them a lot more wiggle room moving forward here on Bank. And it will, instead of coming down to whether or not they can defend top floor, come down to what they could do on the other sites. The setup is going to be on CEO, so the secondary bomb site here for Rogue. And looks like they're going to be bringing a castle. Pretty standard stuff here. 3 ACOGs, lots of long angles on the top floor of Bank. Or, well, in Bank in general, but even more so here. Be able to play them as efficiently as possible with the setup that Rogue has and deny the ones that you don't want to challenge using those castle barricades. On top of that, you've got the smoke, which is just commonplace, no matter what. Here you can see Nyx bring the G36C, so he realizes he wants the ACOG. Though I have to say, and I'll bring this up again, we're playing Bank right now. This is one of the maps with the most long angles out there, and it is an ACOG-heavy map, period. That's why you see 3 ACOGs on the defense right now. So the fact that the G36C is being brought here from Nyx might not be indicative of his preference. Words are hard sometimes, but more of the map itself. He's going to be going for a rappel outside a front door and trying to play the long angle to shut down reception by Banana. And the castle barricades, of course, will get in his way.
This is your G36C, so with that long angle on defense, as you mentioned, of the defenders wanting to double up or possibly even triple up on those ACOGs, in this case with Rogue, well, the attackers are going to want to do the same. And while the R4C is a very potent weapon, especially in close ranges, a lot of times the way that CEO plays out means that you want to keep yourself as far away from danger as possible, because the defenders in this instance might actually have more of an advantage over the attackers depending on the actual lineup. So good for the attackers to bring those ACOGs in spades, and Nyx with the G36, but a very comfortable opening fragging roll here. It's possibly going to be able to close that gap. You've got Hot and Cold on Hard Breach as well, which is a bit abnormal. Usually you would see him play on that Ash, Michael. So I'm very curious to know exactly how this is going to shape up. At half of the round to go, what a peek! As Eclipse emerges from the elevator. He's going to send Nyx going all the way down to the ground floor for the next minute and a half or so, giving DarkZero a bit of time to think and readjust, and a rare miss of a grenade from BC, and yikes, Rogue back-to-back, 2 real good opportunities to try and hold on this round.
That was the second missed grenade from BC, in fact, as he's already used one, but he'll land the shot, so Vertical goes down regardless. Just took a little bit more time. But with Vertical eliminated, Banana control should be easy for DarkZero, and once they get that control, they can... Wow, another one for BC! Just repelling on the north windows, and everybody's peeking him. Making mistakes left and right here. Rogue find themselves at a disadvantage in terms of manpower. It's going to be a rotation here from Hot and Cold as well, going over to the East CEO walls. Try and open things up. He's a little cautious here. Now we got to be scared for DarkZero as they're coming down to the last 30 seconds.
You can't give your life away if you're Hot and Cold, but he's going to walk in and get 2 as he sees the second. I was going to say, you can't gamble on your Hard Breach being in a position where he can't get one of those walls open. And beautiful read and a great shot from Houghton, alongside the 2 that you'd seen from BC. And these individual performances for DarkZero are carrying the day at the moment. DarkZero will regain the lead with that one.
That defense at the top floor was interesting, the way that it ended up getting played by Rogue. A lot of this game in general comes down to playing your angles and knowing what angles are being held by the opponents, what angles can't be challenged by the opponents, and what angles you should be challenging. For example, when Eclipse was playing inside of the elevator and holding the main lobby staircase, that is an angle that is very easy for a defender to challenge and win, given pretty much any situation. He heard the Ash charge go off on those main lobby stairs, he took the fight, he won it. That's sensible. Good on him. Pretty much everything else that Rogue did in terms of angle play throughout that entire round was abysmal. That's it. That's the end of the story. They peeked north windows a lot. BC got 2 frags. Then Houghton came from behind. Rogue did not expect anyone to come from behind. Why didn't they expect anyone to come from behind? Well, because they didn't have any information to gather from the east side of the building. That's on them. So some corrections need to be made, and it seems like they're already going that direction. If they've brought a Clash, and that's going to be a great operator for figuring out where the attack is coming from.
So Rogue's key to success, if you look at what happened on the CCTV defense twice, was they lost the very first successful defense. They moved Slash off of his role onto a different role. They moved him onto the Kaid for the second round, and they won it. They lose CEO this time around, Michael. They move him off of his role and put him on the Clash, and they might be able to win it this time too. Small, just a little bit of small voodoo magic there for them.
I think that is,
pattern worked.
I think Clash is a good operator given what happened last round.
Yeah.
And not necessarily for the site, but the corrections that Rogue needed to make, I think that was a good on-the-fly decision. The question is, will Clash actually be played well in this round?
As long as you keep her nestled safely in sight, then I think a lot can go in your favor. I mean, the push from DZ came really late and relied mostly on pure fragging potential. There was very little utility that was used, right?
True.
Those frag grenades from BC didn't really do all that much, not as what you'd expect. And then the Zofia as well from Jarvis, if it can get baited out early on, well, then the Clash can survive quite well. Nyx is solo entering, and I think he largely droned himself on in. He's trying to find out where Eclipse may be. He's on that main stair, and he's going to spot the Ashe before the Ashe can spot him, unless Eclipse has his back turned.
This is really good timing for Nyx if he seizes the opportunity. Someone's going to drone for him right now and should call it out. Here it is, free kill for Nyx. Great teamwork there from DarkZero, and Eclipse seriously poor situational awareness in that moment.
This is the second occasion now where that cardiac sensor for Eclipse could have been utilized a little better, though he might have been EMP'd in that very first round, as we see from time to time. Nyx does get down and then taken out, as Slash is credited with that kill with the taser from the CCE shield of the Clash, which is interesting. You don't see that every single day. Juiced up and just waiting for an opportunity to engage with Jarvis is going to be Vertical as BC gets one, Mint gets another, and all of Vertical's team is falling around him. He's got the shield of Slash, will have to be a focal point. Vertical gets the down onto Jarvis, but might not be aware as he immediately pivots and looks in towards A. Sees the head of one body at DarkZero, looks for a second, possibly lined up. Cannot land all the shots. Good thing he was overhealed. He takes quite a bit of damage. Jarvis wills himself back to life, finished off by Slash, but there goes Vertical. Slash in a 3v1. Oh, pick up kill number 2, and look now down towards the hallway over by the vending machines. It's going to be a very difficult opportunity. He can't out-duel Mint. DarkZero absolutely pummeling Rogue so far on this attack here. And Rogue just don't look like they understand where DZ is entering from. These information operators that so many teams use to their advantage right now, falling just a little bit short for Rogue, and DarkZero absolutely capitalizing.
You know, there are other options when it comes to information if you want to bring them. And of course, IQ is being brought by DarkZero in a lot of these rounds, that last round, for example. But sometimes you don't need the cameras from Valkyrie to last the whole round. Sometimes you just need them to give you a hint. It's coming from this direction. And a lot of these rounds, it seems like that's what Rogue needs. I mean, you could attribute the lack of information in the last round from Rogue to simple misplays. From Eclipse, for example, when he was on the main stairs. He just didn't have his cardiac sensor out. He just did not check. And that's on him. But why not have an abundance of information through other means so that you don't have to worry about those mistakes? There are ways to correct the gap. There are ways to shore up uncertainties on the defense when it comes to information. And it doesn't seem like Rogue is taking full advantage of the things that they have available, the operators they have available. Would love to see that change. They're going to get to go back downstairs here, and this is the first round that they won, the only round that they won. Came at the second try, of course, but I think this is another good opportunity for Rogue to start winning some rounds here on Bank.
This hold that we saw from Slash on stairs utilized a good amount of utility from DarkZero. He's got the barbed wire kited as well as the drop-down hatch just above him. Slash was unable to win his fight against Nyx last time, and DarkZero took control of that stairs after about a minute or so.
Yeah.
And it cost a frag grenade on BC's side. But other than that, DarkZero really didn't commit all that much other than just pure body presence. Now, the bigger focal point for DarkZero was how Hot and Cold put himself in harm's way, and it was Shuttle who was able to punish the Maverick as he got the hatch inside of that admin office. And well, just look at that. He's right back into it, and history might repeat itself here as we ride on side of Shuttle. Just watching those small openings that have been created by the Maverick, who will now circle around. Shuttle gives his position away a little too early. Hutton was just looking to maybe try to push him off. That's exactly what that flash grenade is going to do, and a nice game of cat and mouse as Hot Cold is really struggling here with this hatch to be able to get this home.
Yeah, he's been very inefficient with the torch so far, and it's because he's worried about getting picked by Shuttle. There needs to be, maybe one person supporting him might be all he really needs in this situation, or he could wait till his teammates clear out server. That's also an option for the Maverick of Houghton.
It's a great yokai camera from Easily inside of the Skylight stairwell, gaining so much information. A lot of teams would put a Valkyrie up there. There is no Valkyrie on the board for Rogue. And here comes BC. drunken effect from the yokai will hit him and punish him forever. So slight of a period of time, the frag grenade taking out what little protection Slash had, as it will now be once again just a game of itchy trigger finger. And will Slash prevail? Oh, he takes a head right off of BC, but can't land anything onto Mint. A pristine shot immediately shut down. BC off the board is a huge sigh of relief for Rogue, as BC's sledge has been one of the most menacing figures in this entire game.
Soon to have server control well in hand here for DarkZero, but they're currently working on it. They finally achieved that goal, and here we go. They're going to be able to open up that server wall and go for the standard jungle of utility. Now, the problem is for DarkZero, they still have to deal with quite a lot of setup, but oh, what a shot from Nyx. And half of the denial is eliminated in one fell stroke. Hot and Cold has also managed to work his way into the garage. This is huge. He's got a little bit of a challenge here from the Jaeger of Vertical. Damage done, but Houghton is still alive and able to inflict massive amounts of damage if given the opportunity. Little time here for DarkZero, but they've got the space needed. Vertical gonna land the final shot to shut down Houghton. Here comes the plant, gas canisters in hand. Mint will have some excellent cover work, but Eclipse shuts him down. The plant's still going on, and it's going to finally land. How does that happen? Vertical from above will be able to get one kill for himself, and it's a 1 versus 1 now as Nyx has worked his way up the server stairs. Nyx is in the perfect position to clutch this. He's got the drop down open, and he couldn't help for a better situation. He'll be able to land the shot, and DarkZero will take the round.
Man, I think a big story of this match in particular is also DarkZero hitting their shots. Even when things go sideways strats-wise, even when Rogue looks like they have the upper hand on them, be it the presence in Garage, looking all the way towards where the default plant spot is inside of CCTV, whether it be Rogue rotating out of gold into that red position, trying to engage, DarkZero is just simply beating Rogue to the punch every single time by landing more accurate shots. This is actually something that we saw from Rogue against Norarengo in Rio, if I can go back and reference that LAN match. Norarengo are very good at hitting their shots, of course. But Rogue, something that you could say the same for them as well. Today is the rare exception where Rogue is just not able to hit their targets. There have been a couple great shots, Vertical in particular, along with Shuttle. But as for the rest of the team, and maybe that one shot from Slash on the server stairs, which was a thing of beauty onto BC, it's looked like there's been a bit of shakiness on Rogue's aim. And like I said, even when things go really according to plan, with your strategy, you still need to be able to land those shots. DarkZero's doing it, Rogue isn't doing it, and it's made the difference in a number of fights, and because of the operators that have gotten picked, it's made a huge difference in the way that these teams have transitioned from the mid-round in towards the execute, and then the post-plan as well.
Now, of course, you can't know without actually being on the team, but it does certainly look like a distinct lack of confidence right now, the way that Rogue are carrying themselves, the way that they're playing, and that will translate into whether or not you're hitting your shots. I could say with absolute certainty that confidence is actually one of the most important factors in being a professional Rainbow Six player. I think that's something that some players will lack from time to time, and it can carry on from your past performances. But here and now, Rogue are struggling a little bit, and that, again, something we can't say with certainty is the problem, because we don't know the internal workings of Rogue. Could be one of the answers.
I like that you mentioned confidence, Michael, because it is confidence that leads me to believe that I would never be good enough to play in Pro League, because I am confident that my skills are nowhere near up to par.
Okay, Parker.
You're welcome.
You don't have to be so hard on yourself.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
I feel like you could do it.
I'm trying to put some pressure here into the connecting angle from Red, possibly into this CCTV site. Is Hot and Cold. He opens up a tiny portion of that one hatch, then immediately goes in towards the admin office to open up the other. He's fearing that Shuttle is going to go for round number 3. But this time around, it doesn't look like there's going to be anything there. The Mute Jammers flummoxing DZ, so now they have control of server room, and keep in mind, that could be possibly one of the reasons why we didn't see Eclipse on his scanner. He might have been disabled by the EMP, as it looks like might be the case this time around. There's yet another EMP that will go off and will allow free passage in towards CCTV as the thermite charge is successful yet again. There's no real commitment to denial from Rogue there. Pretty standard. But what's more telling is that Rogue hasn't really put a lot of C4 pressure onto the planter that's going down. DarkZero is allowed to exist in that realm without much contest.
Yeah, every time that we've seen DarkZero go for a plant, Rogue has not really committed too much to the C4s. It's going to be yokai drones and gas canisters. They're the first attempted plant, and he actually, wow, Nyx eating some serious damage. A wasted C4 from Rogue. Yokai drone, though, doing its work. Gas canister helping in that endeavor, and DarkZero will be denied their first attempt. Though it was too much utility used from Rogue, so this is actually a decent position for DarkZero to find themselves in. Nade from BC shuts down the final gas canister. That's huge. But oh no, the second nade denies the plant, and BC will correct himself very quickly, but there's another C4. Oh, Rogue are in a great position right now. Jarvis is the only one who can really cover. Hotten's going to try and support inside of server. And one more C4 dodge. That's perfect play from Nyx. As he goes for the plant, this might actually be achievable, but no, it's a rush from Vertical to shut him down. Now 2 on the drop down, and it's just Jarvis in a 1 versus 3, and he is going to accidentally fat finger his melee key as he drops. Rogue will take another defense of the basement. Jeez.
You can really say that BC's grenades are as accurate as they are. It's like they're heat-seeking missiles. It doesn't matter. As long as there's a warm body in the way, sometimes it's your teammate.
That round was a mess.
That is a very good way of putting it. But Rogue emphatically winning that round.
Yeah.
Good usage of information with the Valkyrie and the yokai drones early on to scout out the positions of DarkZero and be able to relay that to the rest of the team, which is something that Rogue has lacked through the first 5 rounds. They shore up their weaknesses. Now, unfortunately, too late for Rogue because they do it on their very final defensive stead. Now it's going to be DarkZero moving to defense with a 4-2 lead, heading into round number 7. But Rogue were able to right the ship in that round. They had great uses of their nitro cells. BC, maybe there were too many comms, didn't hear that that nitro cell goes down. A second C4 goes out, forces what little was left of Nyx off of the plant, buying crucial time. The shot through the hatch on the hot and cold. Rogue hit their shots. Everything worked for them strats-wise. And that was a beautiful round. And if Rogue had been able to emulate the success of that round 2-3 times... Speaking of 2-3 times, BC finally nailing that that black eye cam. If Rogue had been able to do that 2 or 3 times, we're looking at a very... There you go. I feel like BC, a bit shaken
He's
after that grenade killed his teammate, and now his projectiles are just way off.
It's okay. He's just getting back into it. But one thing I want to note about the last round we saw from defense from Rogue, that every single one of their defenders had denial. 3 C4s, gas canisters, and yokai drones. Not one of those operators was going to have trouble influencing that plant. And I really like the way that Rogue set themselves up there. But as you said, way too late. Way too late into the match. It's a 4-2 split for DarkZero, and they're feeling very comfortable. So now they get to go into defense, which is the generally advantageous side on bank. It's going to be bottom floor, first thing here. DarkZero set themselves up. It's going to be Nyx on the server stairs. Seems to be a pretty common challenge these days, and he's being pushed by what looks like a Zofia and an Ashe. So this is not going to be an easy challenge, and he goes for the drone, misses the Ashe. Slash does not miss, and the R4C prevails there.
You know Slash doesn't want to lose this game, and he seems like the type of player who can really just single-handedly win a game all on his lonesome. Now, also,
He has done that.
was that a bit of a miss? To the best of my knowledge, I believe that Valkyrie camera, when thrown correctly, cannot be shot.
Yeah, so I was a little puzzled about that too, because it looked like he landed it in the right spot.
Maybe it was a change, one of those hidden changes that happen every now and then.
Yeah.
There are hidden changes that do happen and do occur from time to time. That could have possibly been it.
Yeah, the patch where they said they fixed the FPS bug that might have had something along those lines. Like the camera where you see is actually now the hitbox. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Very similar to where Easily was positioned inside of Garage is going to be the exact location of Hot and Cold. But this information is not being relayed appropriately, as there goes the Yokai Blast to knock Easily off of that diffuser. Buying as much time as possible, as Easily has taken just a tiny bit of damage. A good drone from Easily lies onto BC, so they know the location of this Valkyrie playing inside of Red. As the juggle will come out and Hot and Cold finishes off Easily. 75 damage that will be done to the Rogue Planter and force somebody else to be immobile for the time being. And there goes Eclipse, so Hot and Cold, just reigning supreme inside a Garage. He was the member of DarkZero who pushed down the stairs into Garage last time around, so he is immediately wary for possible play from somebody on Rogue. What this means is that Rogue will really only have 2 bodies upright as somebody goes for the plant. Smokes from Vertical will try to cloud everything out. Explosive gets tossed on over, but here comes Slash. He's in. Nobody's planting. Vertical cut down a third from Hot and Cold. And there goes BC on to Slash Hug, and this round effectively over, barring a miracle from Shuttle as he drops. And nobody home. Every single member at DZ will evacuate the site. An impactless frag from Shuttle, but very securely located are the other 2 members of DarkZero. And that will be the 5th round for DZ as they are successful on their very first defense. And now look to one of the other 3 sites here on Bank to continue that trend.
The defense there from DarkZero was very solid. No serious mistakes or gaps left in their hold. The server hold was a little tenuous and I think unnecessary from the Jaeger. Could have done anything else. But I'm imagining the reason they're going to play their Jaeger on the server stairs is very specifically because he does not deny the plant in any way, shape, or form other than, I suppose, rushing. But that is a risky gambit, no matter the circumstance. So, sensible across the board for BZ. They played it by the numbers. Rogue did not have the necessary tools to deal with the setup that DarkZero was bringing. And here's the thing. That's the same exact setup that Rogue used. Maybe a few operator changes here. No, certainly a few operator changes here and there. But across the board, it's server stairs challenge, followed by utility juggle that is so typical on a basement bank defense, and the same angle we always see from Garage to deny the plant on default spot. And Rogue did not have a strategy to counter it. But it's the same thing they're doing. That's confusing. Nevertheless, it's done now. We're going to be going to a defense of CEO next for DarkZero, which is the same pattern that Rogue followed.
One of the main teams in North America that actually started off showing the viability of this site happened to be a team that went by the name of Flipside, who then went by the name SK Gaming and now happen to go by the name DarkZero.
Yep.
Tracing this team's lineage back just a couple seasons ago. And it's now a site that is quite popularized across all regions and is one of the most viable for defenders here on this map.
Actually, there's only a few players in this match that aren't from way back from the beginning of Rainbow6 competitive.
Yeah, there's a lot of storied history on both sides of this team, and they're both of the teams are very accustomed to having to deal with this site in particular. But interestingly, and worth noting for DarkZero, is the distinct lack of ACOGs here. You mentioned it before, when Rogue was defending, they had 3 ACOGs, both the Rook-Doc combo and then the Echo as well. There's only 1 on DarkZero's side of things. That's going to be BC, who can get quite aggressive, but with the way that he tends to play Echo, he's going to be in more of a support-oriented position. So that's going to deny DarkZero the opportunity to take long-range fights up against Rogue, which can be a massive disadvantage here on this particular site. But DarkZero will have one thing in their favor. Rogue are looking to go for a much closer engagement as both Slash and Vertical are not running ACOGs. Down goes Slash, so only 1 will be remaining in terms of Vertical, whose Jackal Ping is just desperately trying to find anybody. On DarkZero's side was detecting BC, the Echo, but he's very firmly enshrined in the site, and he's not really going to be in much danger. Additionally, you've got the shotgun barrel of Hot and Cold not too far off site, waiting. This door prepped that he can spring out of at any point. He might get droned out, though, and that appears to be the play, as Vertical is not too far off, and with the drone escort, we'll now move on over towards Conference. Mint's position given away, the telltale signs of his carbine. Nyx gets punished, and this could be bad for DarkZero, as it looks like Rogue has plenty of intel here heading into the final minute.
DarkZero has a perfect pinch set up for this south hallway, but they're prioritizing that south hallway where Rogue are not using it, and they're putting 3 bodies to hold it. That's dangerous. They need to focus on the CEO walls. It's a challenge here and an exchange between these teams. Hot and Cold still has control of storage, but he's going to die. Oh no, just narrowly manages to stay alive with 25 HP. Vertical, though, will take out BC, his teammate, and another one for Vertical from Meeting Hall. Easily the final kill, and Rogue will take that round. Poor focus from DarkZero on the wrong locations.
Rogue did an exceptionally good job of being able to figure out exactly where everybody from DarkZero was playing, and the way the DarkZero strategy was set up did not look like DZ could fight for any trades that were presented their way. Almost as if there were 5 silos organized throughout the CEO site, leading over all the way in towards janitorial and then over by the elevator as well, where no single member of DarkZero was working in conjunction with one another. And Rogue, assessed this. They doubled up their presence into the janitorial position. They had a body playing over by the elevators as well if need be. As you saw, one fell to Mint, where there's immediate trade from Rogue, and that's the exceptional team play that Rogue needs to continue on if they want to be able to close this gap, because DarkZero are only 1 round away from denying Rogue a victory, which Rogue desperately needs in order to keep the gap close with them in the top 3 teams, and additionally giving DarkZero an additional point that would vault them up into 2nd place, tied with Evil Geniuses, possibly even ahead of Evil Geniuses, depending on how this tiebreaker is working. So, work cut out for Rogue, but the last 2 rounds that we saw, Rogue on defense of CCTV in round number 6, and then what they just did on attack in round number 8. That's the kind of stuff that looks like the old Rogue and needs to be repeated multiple times here in order for this team to continue to keep pace with DZ.
Of course, when he says old Rogue, it's, you know, Rogue is such a good team, such a talented team, and that hasn't changed, but there's been a lot of inconsistency that we've been discussing at length in most recent history with this roster. And that's kind of what's worth bringing up. Whenever we see a round like that one, where Rogue, just the coordination's exceptional, and it's the thing that always made them such an amazing roster, we just want to see more of it, to be honest. It's great Siege gameplay, and it's about as good as it gets, really. So we'll see if Rogue can repeat that result here now in this round. A little bit of a different setup from DarkZero. I think they've realized they were putting too much focus where they needn't, and they have adjusted accordingly. They also will be bringing a clash as an adjustment on CEO, something we saw Rogue do in their last defense of this site. It's going to be Mint on that clash, playing inside of the elevator. That's a good position to have the clash, all things considered. He can fall back as long as he's not being pinched. That's the only risk, is if somebody from Rogue decides to attack from main lobby while also attacking from stock, you've got a no-win situation there for the clash. Of course, that's for any operator.
To set some expectations for Rogue here is, Slash is going to be the first death for Rogue, but Nyx is in a position where this might be almost impossible for him to be able to get back.
Yeah,
and been given away that whole time.
Should be an easy kill here for Shuttle. There you go.
It's as free as they can get. But, I mean, you got to expect that when you set up a strategy such as that. Nyx is not expecting to be able to get back in alive, and because of this, you realize that trading off Slash for Nyx is not a bad trade if you're DarkZero.
Yeah, certainly not.
Though worth noting that the previous round was won by Rogue with Slash dying early for basically free as well.
Well, it's an exchange of blows, and on 2 operators that I would say slants it in the defender's favor.
Now, this position that was being played by Mint as the Jaeger, he's going to sub somebody out, and instead he's going to bother to go with the clash this time, as the Jackal of Vertical, who walked in through that trading room, is now under very heavy surveillance. The smoke is going to go over the shoulders of the clash, and Houghton down below is going to look to rotate, so that's a bit of a difference here, as you don't have the mute playing upstairs inside of janitorial. But Houghton's going to have to accomplish something at some point, because for the time being, this clash is under fire, and Mint is just surviving with a tiny bit of HP, knowing full well that there are multiple bodies trying to figure him out. As well, under fire below with just 20 seconds to go is Houghton Cold, who's now going to try to rotate on back up, and Rogue will need to pull something together with only 10 seconds. Easily is in sight, but is this information handy? BC will hit his target, so does Vertical. The Echo will have to do the work without a yokai at his disposal. Whoa, he cuts Shuttle down and also looks for the one onto the thermite, but no, easily survives. Can Houghton pull something together? No, he can't. It's a double up from Rogue, as it looked as if Easily had been downed. Was just simply doing some aerobics inside of the CEO office. And this 2 terms that we just saw from Rogue on the CEO proved to be great for them, setting Rogue in a position to tie things up. But that coveted Locker's CCTV downstairs will be once again open, and that's where DarkZero is going to go. This momentum that Rogue has built up will need to continue onwards, as they're now well within striking distance of being able to push DarkZero to the limit.
I really love this change from Rogue. You can see they've brought a Blackbeard. And why, you might ask? Well, that would be the angle we were discussing the last time DarkZero defended the bottom floor. I'm sure you all noticed it. It's the same angle that Rogue used to deny the default plant spot. Perfect operator to challenge that? A Blackbeard. Put him on that angle, and the defenders can't use it anymore. Done. So, Rogue has a response for the angle that caused them so much trouble last time they were here. However, that's not the only form of denial that DarkZero has available to them. So I'm not entirely certain it will be enough. In fact, I'm very much certain it won't. So we need to see good assortment of counterplay here from Rogue when it comes to not only that angle, but also the utility. For example, we don't have an IQ in play, which means that all of those yokai drones will have to be taken out the old-fashioned way. And that is by seeing them and shooting them, which is not exactly easy, especially not in high-pressure situations like this.
Now, you look back to that first attack on CEO from Rogue. It looked like Rogue had quite the extraordinary amount of information. But we got a very good glimpse at the way that DarkZero functioned on that second defense of CEO, and it actually looked like it was maybe not just necessarily praise going to Rogue, but some condemnation to the way that DarkZero was able to hold that information. It did appear that despite running a Valkyrie, a Clash, and an Echo, that the information for DarkZero was just not quite there. That's a problem when you're trying to defend that site. You know that Rogue is going to circle in and just pinch you one by one.
I also think it was really good adjustments from Rogue. Like, for example, Slash dies on North Window, and then there's another player moving to North Window for Rogue. They've got that rotation on lock. They know what they need to have in order to accomplish the plan. It did look like DarkZero was going to be able to take it, but that's all in the past now. Here in the present, basement defense and still contesting servers.
The lack of a Mira means that there's going to be quite a bit of aggressiveness here on DarkZero's side of things. Can't believe Slash was able to get in that close. The double drone setup guided him in. Won't be too much as he loses one shield and about 30% of his HP in the process to Nyx, who gets aggressive onto that server doorway.
That one shield being lost is huge because Slash, again, is the counter to that Echo playing in Garage. He cannot be allowed to die, which is why you see Eclipse coming up now as the main entry.
This might be very troubling for Nyx. He's got the double ADS behind CCTV, but gets blasted by a yokai. You can see the Blackbeard holding this tight angle, and if Nyx dies here, but he manages to take out the second shield with his Blackbeard, that's a massive victory. Ping's going out as Nyx is going to get circled on in. He sees the Blackbeard. Vertical takes down Hot and Cold, and it's a slugfest as Vertical collects his second kill and easily eliminates Nyx. DarkZero falling to pieces as there's Vertical again. Mint will have to hold everything together onto that smoke roll as he shuts down Vertical, but Rogue is in excellent position. We still have utility available, and Mint does not have very much HP with left to work. If he peeks that wall the wrong way, then Shuttle's going to be there to capitalize, as that hatch control is going to be so vital. 30 seconds left. Information might still be up. Mint will nail the smoke. It will force easily off as he tries to bait it down, and just through the wall as he clips. And ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a ball game, as it's 5-5 as Rogue sticks 3 together and picks up 4 in the last 5 rounds as they have come alive here on Bank and are fighting tooth and nail to try to knock DarkZero off of all this momentum that DayZ built up.
From the small window we got into that round, it looked like DarkZero had it without a doubt. But what happened? Vertical happened. He injected himself into the perfect spot to disrupt that defense. The one location that was not being watched by DarkZero. Able to get as many frags as possible, just waltzing into the site. And while the server hold from Nyx was perfect, he got the Blackbeard, and that should have given DarkZero the round without a doubt. If there's no anchors, well, you can't hold the site. And it was a pretty easy cleanup from Rogue, moving forward from that. So, serious props to Vertical, managing to find his way into the weakest point of that site at the perfect moment to salvage the round from what seemed like a losing situation. And DarkZero, they need to pay attention more to the holes in their defense, try to shore them up moving forward. Losing a basement defense, huge in this current match. I mean, I think it's the safe space for both teams. And we did see it happen to Rogue when they were on defense in the first half. So that's a little bit of a response, I think, now on half number 2. Good job to Rogue to salvage this match entirely, all things considered. I mean, it was DarkZero's.
And once again, one of the biggest stumbling blocks that this roster, whether they're Flipside, whether they're SK Gaming, or whether they're DarkZero, have is that when the pressure gets mounting, they don't sometimes rise to that challenge, and they get shaky. This is something that is, I don't know if it's just simply a mental game at this point or not, but it's something that has really troubled the DarkZero roster for months on end and has cost them in the long run. I mean, They stumbled against Rogue in that fabled matchup to see which team would go to Rio only a couple months back, and DarkZero also stumbled out of the Invitational qualifiers and fell just short of the Paris Major qualifiers as well. When the going gets tough, it appears that DarkZero's confidence gets going as well. Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it seems like there's one player on DarkZero who can handle that pressure usually, and it's Mint. You know, oftentimes even he will perform above and beyond, but it's not happening right now, and that's unfortunate. He also is not on attack, so he can't do things like bring Blitz to try and shove this into a win.
Speculated there might be a shield play at work here, but their actually only shield play we've seen has been on defense. Oh! Nyx will walk on up and take Slashug down. The Blackbeard gone, and with Eclipse now being double blasted from this Yokai, should the Zofia peak, and this could be a pick for Nyx here, but Eclipse isn't really doing all too much as the ADSs get burned around. The last time that we saw Rogue attack this site last round was when Vertical walked right in and was able to pick up a beautiful 3K. We didn't actually get to see any of it, but I imagine it was quite masterful to watch.
Yeah.
He's going to be the big question mark this time. What is he able to accomplish? And Nyx taken out with relative ease as there's two bodies that will double up with Shuttle as well inside of CCTV, and Rogue will be back at a 4v4.
But Hodden is still alive. He can still play the angle from Garage, and there's no Blackbeard anymore. So Nyx did his job. He wasted time, and he got rid of Blackbeard. That's huge. So in this situation, as effective as taking out a hard breacher. Now, that done, Rogue are going to still have a tricky round ahead of them. And they don't have as much counter utility as they once did. So missing C4s like the one we just saw from DZ is absolutely huge. Gas canisters coming out, but here we go. There's that angle again. Easily will go down trying to challenge it. It's a bad challenge there for the Thermite, but at least he's opened up the wall already. Speaking of already, there's not very much time left here for Rogue, and Vertical might be able to find himself in the site again. Here comes one kill for Vertical. Can he get any more? He knows there's someone in Garage, so he's looking that way, finds the target, lands the shot, but there's so little time, and he's gonna get shut down by Mint once again. It's just Eclipse, but he can't plant and play, and there's gonna be no win for Rogue. DarkZero managing to lock it out this time, just on the clock.
So there you go. 1 point on the board for DarkZero. Shuts down Rogue's momentum and denies Rogue what they wanted so much, was that victory, which they were shaping themselves up for quite well. Might actually see a rehost here as apparently BC is asking for. We'll wait an admin decision, and there you have it. We will head to a rehost for the very final and pivotal round. So both of these teams will have not a lot of opportunity, but at least some time to be able to talk to each other and figure out what's going on this last round. Now, what bodes well for Rogue is the fact that they have been quite good outside of this CCTV site. DarkZero unsuccessful outside of the CCTV locker site. We saw CEO get played twice. They lost it both times. Is this an opportunity where you go for an open area? Is this an opportunity where you go for Teller's Archives? Or do you try CEO a third time and just hope that something sticks?
If I'm in DarkZero's shoes, I would be going to a different site. I would try to mix things up. I wouldn't try to hammer out a CEO anymore. I mean, we saw that last attempt at CEO just a few rounds ago where DarkZero seemed poised to win it. I mean, they had everything going for them. Their Clash was doing some excellent work on the south hallway to deny that whole location to the attackers, and there was very little crossfire being established on the side of Rogue because of that. But Rogue were really good at adjusting. They had someone go back onto the north windows after losing someone there already, which covered the entry from CEO wall. The Yokai drones were dispatched that were holding on to CEO, allowing for a very, very last second plant, and the recovery was in for Rogue. And that's impressive. If I'm DarkZero, I don't want to rely on having a better go at CEO, because the reason Rogue won that round was not because DarkZero was making an abundance of mistakes, but because Rogue was playing it exceptionally well. And that's something you can't stop if you're DarkZero just outright. That depends on your opponent.
Both of those CEO takes from Rogue were dominant, I would say. And even though there were some changes made by DarkZero, you're basically gambling, okay, we have the opportunity to pick up these full 3 points. Now gotten themselves to a position where they might be first, depending on what's happening with or what happened in their original match with EG. So that would be something to have to look towards. I don't believe they have the tiebreaker over EG because EG's only loss came to reciprocity. So it's very likely that right now, for the time being, DarkZero is sitting in second. You want to be able to vault on over EG, go for a victory here. Do you see something, any glimmer of hope in your CEO defense? To me, Not really. They were both a little lackluster. There was a lot of miscommunication. You mentioned how he easily was able to just walk into that site, take out the yokais. Great pressure and read with very little information denial on DarkZero's side that allowed all these drones from Rogue to be able to collect every bit of info, every nugget of info that they needed. So if I'm DarkZero, if you have any semblance of a strategy on Teller's Archives, you change it up and go there. But you got to think that that's what Rogue is anticipating.
Yeah.
Rogue is very likely expecting they're going to go to another site. The game is on the line. They have to take that gamble.
And here's the tricky thing. I mean, with our theory crafting, we can't say what's going to happen if DZ tries to go to a different site. I mean, those other defenses might be so bad for DZ strategically that they're just not going to do that, period.
Right.
Or they could go there and it could be even worse than CEO somehow. We don't know because there's only 2 sites that have been played through this whole match from both teams. And they've been played very similarly between the 2 squads. So Rogue and DZ both hold the basement pretty much the same way, and it's very similar on CEO. So yeah, if we had one sample size from either team, maybe we could have some speculation on those other sites, but no, it's just going to be up in the air. And I think that's something that'll make this last round very exciting, but I mean, we'll find out.
I think the expectation is to go to another site, but I wouldn't. I mean,
me too. I'm not
going to be surprised no matter what, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
There's good strategy, I think, on both sides of things, and it really comes down to, as you mentioned, how comfortable they are going somewhere else. I don't see a team like DarkZero only playing 2 sites on bank. So, I mean, you've got to imagine they're probably going to go somewhere else. They practice a lot.
Probably.
It's a map that they're decently comfortable on.
I mean, you know, with the way that I got to be honest, with the way that we only have 7 maps in the map pool. Like, if you're not comfortable on more than one of those maps, then there's a problem. A fundamental problem. You got to start practicing and shoring those up. Because back when we had 9 maps in the map pool, yeah, it's okay. Maybe 2, 3 maps that you don't really want to play on too much. Not anymore. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, both teams are going to be comfortable on bank. But I think so far we've seen a little bit more from DZ. Honestly, the defense for both teams have been really bad, though. Can we talk about that for a second? Only 4 defensive wins throughout this whole match. That's shocking on bank.
Yeah. I wonder how much of this just simply has to come down to if there's been a shift in the meta over the attacking and defending rounds, the way that we saw this all-encompassing defender meta not too long ago.
Yeah.
But with Nomad in play, there might be less of a concern among teams to sit and not rotate. Because if you think that there's a Nomad on the board, and this is something that's very hard to judge, and you'd have to talk to the teams and you'd have to talk about specific circumstances. But it's one of those things where even if Nomad isn't picked, there's always the possibility that she could be on the board. And you always have to concern yourself with, if there's a Nomad on the board, do I go for a rotate? Because what if I do? What if there is a Nomad there? It's very similar to the way that Fabian was describing not too long ago, the way that you have to play, that there might be a Maverick. You can't play as aggressively near hatches and walls, because what if there is a Maverick there and you didn't hear it?
In this current meta, you have to stare at walls, at reinforced walls. That's what Maverick did to the game when he was released. He made it so attackers have so much maneuverability that the defense has to stare at the reinforced walls until they know.
Right.
And that's a terrible place to be as a defender. It's the same thing that you have with Nomad. It's just something you can't move. You can't move around. It's like there could be one there. We don't know. But we'll be going to tellers. So speculation was accurate. It's a new site here for DarkZero, and they will get 1 match or 1 point out of this match no matter what. But they could manage 3 if they win just this 1 round in the next 3 minutes. It's also the first time we will go anywhere other than basement CEO for a full 12-round match.
It's like I said, I expected this.
Yep. I mean, it makes sense.
What I'm expecting we're going to see, though, is we're probably still going to see a lot of presence on that second floor, as is commonplace when you see a Teller's Archives defense.
Yeah. CEO
is going to be the most important part of this defense, or for most teams it is. DarkZero might be the lone exception here. As DC is barricading a whole lot of stuff downstairs. He's preset the 1 door, actually.
Or just information. He's going to be playing on those main stairs in all likelihood later in the round, and the reason he would play on the main stairs is so he can keep control of elevator hallway, which is just above it, and the reason he's keeping control of elevator hallway is so he can keep control of this rotation that's into sight, whereas the hole he just went right through. So if you keep that rotation available, then all of your roamers on the second floor or over by open area are going to be able to fall back using that rotation. And that's the entire setup here for DarkZero. If they lose control of elevator hallway, it will be very, very difficult to play this round for them. That's why they've reinforced the walls on lone office. You can see it right there. It's just a pretty standard rotation for the defense. The question is, will Rogue read into that? They have not brought a Maverick, which means they're not going to be able to open up this wall unless they rotate the Thermite here. And if they do that, it'll be obvious. Imagine opening up those walls in lone office, cutting off elevator hallway. As a Maverick, you're going to get at least one free pick on that rotation, given the setup DarkZero has. But of course, Rogue didn't know that. Hindsight 2020, moving on. Shuttle has taken control of lone office, and Vertical is starting to work on the top floor.
And the top floor looks like it's Rogue's right now. There isn't really that much presence or pushback from DarkZero, as that's been a swift entry point. Took 90 seconds for the Jackal and the IQ to be able to gain all this ground. Moving Shuttle on the Ash is a bit of a difference for Rogue, but this could get bad for DZ. Still be another opportunity for Rogue to just be able to clamp down on the site, so unfortunate. It's like from above, and they might actually be able to get a pick here. Oh no. Might have another rehost here. Once again, just waiting. We'll just wait for admin decision once again. We'll play on in the meantime. Down goes easily, and then Nyx eliminating Slash, as that was an engagement from above that did not work out all that well, and the Doc able to heal himself right back up. We'll see what Rogue is able to muster now as they find themselves at quite a significant disadvantage. Shuttle knows that there's a body inside of open area and might go for the push. No ACOG available, keep in mind on that R4C. And Shuttle will get his back completely shot on up from hot and cold. So looks like an almost unwinnable round for Rogue at this point, with Eclipse and Vertical just watching from above.
So that 2 versus 5, Vertical's gonna be working his way into sight. He can see the Valkyrie and lands the shot. And as he gets the first frag for his team, he also has control of Tellers, which is going to prompt his teammate to rotate and try and assist. Problem is, they left the diffuser on the top floor. So another kill for Vertical, but there is no time to get the diffuser, and no way they're gonna get all the kills. The round is over. As much as Vertical's gonna get 3 and Eclipse will get 1, it's just BC playing on main stairs, and all he needs to do is wait. DarkZero will take that round. And I have no idea what's going on with the disconnect, but as it stands, it looks like a win for DarkZero, 7-5. We'll find out based on what the admins decide.
An interesting conclusion.
Yes, very much.
But for the time being, DZ is being given the victory here, and we'll come back to us.
That's as it is. Yeah, so it's not our call. We're just waiting to find out, just like you.
Ultimately, that looked to be a pretty interesting conclusion to that round if it had ended up being a 5-on-5 scenario, because Rogue walks right in, they take control of that second floor. They did so pretty quickly. 90 seconds in, they've got full control of that second floor. They start to work on the actual floor beneath them to be able to get that verticality in which Nick started the engagement off as the Doc, but
I mean, it ended it as a 1v1. No,
that's true, it did.
It came really down to the wire, and that mostly comes down to DarkZero starting to make some serious mistakes and opening themselves up to getting picked off by Vertical, who had a really good round there. And honestly, Vertical, seriously, I think even though right now it looks like Rogue lost it, even though they lost it, I think Vertical takes MVP for that match. He was almost single-handedly salvaging a lot of those rounds for Rogue. In my mind, he takes MVP. Even though he was able to do so much damage, just not enough time.
Both BC and Vertical, I think, were just hauling their teams across the finish line as best as they could. This is the second map in a row where BC has had quite a profound impact. And as for Vertical, he was picked up for his fragging potential. You put him up on operators like Ash, you put him on operators like IQ, on Jackal when he's attacking, and he tends to do quite well, and well, today was no exception. I believe both he and BC broke double digits by the end of that matchup in particular, and Vertical just being able to jump into the fray. How many times did the Jackal find himself entering very similarly with very minimal information to start with that then evolved as multiple drones went out to try and help him? But when we looked at the drone placement from Rogue on attack, it was usually guiding in Slash or Eclipse, and Vertical was often either solo droning or having one drone on his own, and being able to capitalize on that information is quite the feat, and that's one of the reasons why Vertical was so highly sought by Rogue to pick him up off of the Rise Nation roster.
Yeah, Vertical had some really good rounds in that match. Great Jackal play, some huge salvages. Same thing for BC, like you were talking about. BC coming back into Pro League is, I think, a fantastic thing, specifically for DarkZero, as it has helped them out a lot. He's been such an important figure on that roster, and despite some mistakes in that match with the grenade denying his teammates plant, he has had, I think, a huge impact for the roster in terms of mentally and actually impacting these rounds individually. So props to him for that, and those are two contenders I'm sure who will be on the poll. But yeah, it was a good match from DarkZero, a good match from Rogue as well. I honestly expected the draw to come out. Here we were talking about that when the community poll was a thing. Only 8% for a draw on the community poll. I thought that should have been higher. But yeah, and it did 7-5 coming down to the wire.
I was expecting a draw.
Yeah, me too.
I'm surprised that it wasn't. It definitely looked like it was shaping up for that way, and I think Rogue had a lot going for them in that final round. They had the information, they had the map control, they had the presence, and it's marred by that unfortunate disconnect, and the what-ifs of that round will be asked out for quite a while as to what possibly could have been. As for the rest of the game, I have to give so much credit to Rogue for the way that they were able to bounce back. They seized that momentum. They're at a, they're at a 5-2 deficit, and they managed to claw it all back. Ended up being for naught, but still an admirable and commendable effort. With that said, we have an interview ready with Nyx, so we'll bring up the DarkZero Gaming House, and we'll talk to Nyx, and we'll be able to go through exactly how they prepared for that match. Hello, Nyx. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and Sarah, how are you doing?
I am doing all right. Congratulations on your victory, first and foremost. Just a couple questions for you to walk you on through. It's BC's impact on the team. Today, it seemed to be the BC show on your side of things. How has his adjustment or readjustment to the game been? For how long he was out, he seems to be coming in with very minimal rust. And the real question that I want to ask is, how much of his contributions and impact when he was helping Bacon coach has translated to his position on the roster and in-game through each round?
So Brandon coming aboard on the team has definitely been helpful for us. When he was a coach, he did a lot of the strategic elements for DarkZero. So him coming in as a player, he knew a lot of the things we were running. He knew a lot of the things that, he knew our weaknesses, knew what we were good at. So he fit into that role pretty well because he's been experiencing it all this time with us, being our coach. Him coming into the player role, he's been able to, as you can clearly see in this game alone, he's been playing absolutely insane, and came right back in just off of EG. Seems like he never really left, to be honest.
Now, one of the things that your team has struggled with the most has been momentum. And when you fall behind or you get knocked off your stride, it's been very difficult for the core of your roster to be able to overcome that. Today, you were able to blunt Rogue's momentum as they were surging back on up, which is what propelled you into the draw position and then eventually gave you the victory as well. As a player and as a member of your team, what steps have you been taking to try and mitigate the effects that a lack of confidence tends to have on the team's play?
Definitely just going into practice days, taking scrims a lot more serious, focusing on trying to win them rather than focusing on the strategic element. I think that we've always had problems closing out games in the past, and this game included. We had a great advantage going into the defensive side. I think we were like 5 rounds to 2, and then we ended up throwing a few rounds. They played really good on the attacking side, adapting well, and it kind of caught us off guard. So that's just us not really adapting to what they're doing and making really little mistakes that we shouldn't be making at this level.
Now, I like that you mentioned that they played really well on attack, because those 2 CEO rounds really stuck out in my mind for the way that Rogue played, but more so the way that your team played as well. It did look like, despite the fact that you were running a Clash in one round, the fact that you had a Valkyrie on the board, the fact that you had the Echo on the board as well, that you didn't really have a lot of information on Rogue's play, and they were able to pounce upon you with their drone work. For a team that defends CEO, to not really try to provoke any long-range engagements and play everything so close quarters, what's the thought process behind that? Why was that the strategy that you employed on a site that you often see teams go for longer range fights?
We definitely had, we thought we had enough vision going into the round. We had an Echo, we had an IQ, a Valk, we had a Clash, but it just seemed like we didn't have enough information on what they were doing. They were able to get the mute jammers off the back walls for the thermite and stuff like that. And so when they had these walls open, they had constant drones on us in sight. I was getting you know, constantly pinged and wallbanged, and me playing on the castle, I can't really take those long-range engagements. I guess the idea was to play around the clash more so that we can take more in fights towards the stock hall, but they were playing their jackal towards stock side. We weren't able to really get those picks that we wanted, and they countered it pretty well. So
some things for you to look back on and possibly improve upon should you end up going to bank again this season. Once again, congratulations on your victory. Anything to say to the fans before we end the interview?
We just want to say thank you to all our supporters. We understand that we may not be performing to the level that we need to be. Should be closing out these games a lot more convincingly, but we're just trying to get better every single day and lower these mistakes day by day. So thank you for sticking with us, and we appreciate all your support. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Nix. Congratulations on your victory again, and all the best heading on forward.
Thanks, Intero.
Well, there you have it. I was a little curious though. I'm still not satisfied with his answer about the CEO hold upstairs. Not that he's going to be able to give away all of the shop secrets in regards to how the team defended that and what the theory was behind it, but they were one of the teams that played that camera on banana or played the camera on the. Why are you swaying?
No reason.
Or the bulletproof camera over by vendings and being able to hold those long range angles with the dock or a rook. So. With that said, we have a break available for you. So we'll see you in just a couple minutes for our second matchup of the day. Accelerate is going to be taking on Reciprocity, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.